Does it have any impact on the company's business at this point, or the stock, Colin, or do we actually have to see some? Go ahead.
I think it's an overhang on the stock. I mean, there's really no benefit from the sort of activity. The first round with this, I think investors were willing to forgive, and the second round of challenging the S.E.C. and kind of the baiting that we saw on TV, last year, just is unnecessary and doesn't help anything. And so, you see some of the announcements that got made around, what they were doing with stores, and then backtracking a little bit and clarifying, and then this sort of controversy. There's just no benefit to it, and I do think it's begun to impact the stock, and really, people are hedging themselves just a little bit, considering that the first part of the year is typically weak for car sales.
Colin, if someone told me about Twitter and said this, you can tweet about other stuff, but if you definitely can't tweet about this if it relates to this. I mean, it's uncharted territory. It's the new world, and I would think that Elon would say, well, if it was specifically something where I was going to make a material statement about Tesla, I would go ahead and do that. But think of all the other tweets that aren't covered by that he could argue that that's what he thought he was doing. It just seems like it's really...
You can still tweet pedo at people.
Yeah.
What I would say is, I think you're right in that we're charting new territory, and oftentimes regulators, have to figure out, how to set rules along the way, and this certainly is an example where we think, regulators are doing that, trying to set some boundaries and set the rules, even though there's a fair amount of documentation in the legal code. The actual practice of this and application of those laws, I think, is happening in real time.
So at this point, Colin, since it's an overhang on the stock, I mean, would shareholders be better off if Elon Musk were not the CEO and were removed to some sort of position where he is part of the company, obviously, but he wouldn't be in that position where he can draw the fire of the S.E.C.?
I don't think so. I think he still holds so much weight and so much respect in terms of the organization and how it runs, and a vision for how it can become more efficient and more effective, that putting him in a different role where he doesn't have the authority to really hold the people of the organization accountable doesn't necessarily help the organization. So I think it's important for him to stay in that seat. For shareholders, certainly there's very capable managers, but the vision and the authority that he carries, I think, is still very important for the evolution of the organization.
So, Colin, the stock not doing much today, maybe down a point or so. At least that's where it's indicated. But it is down at below 270. Why is that? Yeah, that's all the other stuff going on, isn't it? Was the Model Y was kind of it just wasn't. It received like maybe some of the other introductions.
Well, the Model Y was well anticipated in terms of the performance of that vehicle and what it was in the target market. So I don't think there was any surprises there.
Yeah.
And I think people are concerned about depth of demand for the Model 3. We continue to be a bit more bullish about that than most folks. And so I think we're going to see that play out through the balance of the year. And there's some questions around Model S and Model X demand being sustainable around 1,000 vehicles a year.
They still sell
but
that
I think
thing?
As we go through it, I think as we go through the year, you're going to kind of walk through walk up a wall of worry on the stock as we see those data points come out.